Every day people switch careers, most from the corporate world to entrepreneurship or freelancing. And the interesting thing with this is whilst there are lots of people looking for financial stability through a monthly paycheck, there are also many people leaving financial stability for the unknown. My guest is one of these people. She worked in the Treasury at the IAEA and lived in financial comfort and independence in Vienna, Austria, but chose to give it up to focus on her dream of owning a violin repair shop, founding an orchestra, and initiating the Lagos Opera. Rosalyn Aninyei is a violinist looking to create a world standard stage for the many talented performing arts professionals in Nigeria. She is the founder CEO of Vesta Orchestra and Opera Foundation. She initiated the African Classical Project in a bid to curate and to be able to curate performing arts within the African context. The project wishes to see more African representation in classical music with the ultimate goal of owning a Lagos opera house where these works will be showcased alongside remarkable European opera. Rosalyn is a graduate of the International Development with a master's in international business and is putting together a team of competent and experienced stakeholders to found the Lagos Opera House. I can't wait for that to happen. Welcome, Rosalyn. It really is quite cool to have you here with me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. You play the violin.
I do.
And you have a violin repair shop.
Yes.
In Lagos, Nigeria.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are there lots of violinists in Lagos, Nigeria?
There are a lot. There are a
Wow.
lot. People ask me that question a lot. They are.
Wow. Do you do other string instruments as well?
Of course, yes. Violin, viola, cello, the string instruments, the double bass, that's my specialty. Yeah.
Wow. Do you teach people how to play?
Well, I don't have the time. I used to at the beginning, but now I don't have the time because there's all manner of moving parts I have to attend to. But yeah.
Wow. So why did you decide to change careers?
Actually, the plan was always to do this.
Okay.
Just not in this form. I didn't know yet it was in this form.
Okay.
And going to work in the corporate world was a way to build up my savings, gather experience, work under people, learn from people who are more intelligent than I am. And I was at the hub of a lot of intelligent people. I'm very grateful for the experience. And when the time came, I had to move on.
Wow. You know, you said some very key things already. You did, so essentially you had a plan.
Yeah.
And there was an objective to going into so you didn't just stumble into the corporate life.
No.
It was part of the bigger picture.
I started working as a volunteer at the UNDP here in Lagos when I was 18 or 19, quite by accident and by great fortune.
Wow.
And so I started working really early.
Yes.
Because I didn't want to go to university.
Oh, okay.
And my dad said, you can't stay at home.
Yes.
So my mom, who had an NGO,
Yeah.
found out from her colleagues the UNDP was looking for volunteers to set up the United Nations Volunteers Office at the UNDP. Nigerians didn't used to volunteer at the time. So they needed people. Well, now they do.
Okay.
But they needed people from 25 years and above or something. I was just 18. And so they took me since I was older.
There weren't that many people.
We were just two.
There were just two volunteers?
There were just two of us, yeah. And that was the greatest luck of my life.
Wow.
Yes.
And then you decided to move to Vienna.
Yeah, after that, I worked at the Nigerian-German Chamber of Commerce, Business Association, it's called. 3 years after, I moved to Vienna for school. And shortly after, I applied at the IAEA for a position. And because I had worked at the UNDP in Lagos, they said, hey, come, we don't have a job for you. You don't have a degree, but we want to meet you.
Oh, nice.
I interviewed, and 3 months later, they said I should come in for a job interview.
Your story sounds like grace.
A lot of grace. With planning on my side, because my father kept pushing. He said, okay, if you don't want to go to school, that's fine, but you have to be busy. And so from home, there was always the push to ensure you were engaged.
So that means you had a foundation that allowed you to thrive and do what you wanted to do.
Absolutely.
But then it was instilled in you that you have to have a strong work ethic.
Yeah, very early.
Not everybody has that though. So would you say that played a role in you being able to pivot from corporate into the final destination.
Absolutely.
And what has the journey been like thus far?
It's been tough, but very rewarding. It's been tough, and sometimes I worry, you know, because I used to be very financially independent, and I used to have a great life. And I think to myself sometimes, what am I doing here? But you know, it is so rewarding. No, I wouldn't change anything, and I'll do everything exactly the same way.
What have you learned on this journey?
That even when you set out, you think to impact people's lives, they impact yours.
How so?
You learn so much from them, from the little or the much they have. You see how much they can give other people and you. And so everything is exchange. There's no one flow direction, so to speak, you know? So we all grow if our intention is to grow, you know?
In the Nigeria we live in today, where life is hard, there's a lot of despondency, you know, people, old, young, everybody is just fed up.
Tired.
You know, what would you say to the average Nigerian today? Because you're talking about this reciprocal way of life.
Yes.
But today, everybody's just fed up.
Before I came back and I said to my friends, I was coming to open a violin workshop. Yeah, but how will you sell these expensive instruments to Nigerians? I said, well, someone in Vienna, my second instrument cost about 6,000 euros. Wow. I was a student, and this violin maker, a lady, allowed me pay over 3 years. And that gave me the idea, I can do this at home for people at home who can't afford expensive instruments. Because the average instrument sold from China costs, 20,000, 30,000? But it sounds like firewood. You can only use it to cook rice. You can't use it for anything. It's not musical, okay? Now, real instruments cost about $1,000. Instruments made from real wood, from fine strings, and people here couldn't afford that when I came. So I said, okay, I write you an IOU, and you pay me monthly. And the only guarantee I had was the paper on which they signed, and I didn't have one disappointment in the 6 years I've been back.
How did you ensure that? Because
I didn't ensure anything.
That doesn't even sound.
That's what everybody told me. That's what everyone told me. But nobody deceived me. Nobody tried to dupe me. They all came with their payments every month. And when they couldn't,
you didn't have to chase anybody?
I didn't have to chase anybody. And I've sold over 120 instruments since I've been back in 6 years. So I believed, and by grace, I met wonderful people.
Was there something you were giving off that they were receiving back to this exchange that you're talking about, you know?
Well, maybe it's just the sector I work in, is that musicians are very passionate about their work. They're very disciplined, classical musicians. It takes a lot of discipline to do what we do. And so they can't take an instrument off you and disappear. They just wouldn't be able to live with themselves, you know, because their trade involves their heart. And so the discipline that comes with this wouldn't allow them take off with my instruments without paying, you know. And so
there's a key thing you said, classical musicians.
Yes.
Are you throwing shade at non-classical musicians?
No, this is where I work. So this is what I know.
Okay.
You know? Yes, it takes a lot of discipline to play an instrument, to sing with your voice, to train your voice or with your instrument to a certain level. Yeah, so this discipline goes into everything in their lives, is what I have experienced.
And what is your vision for the Nigerian classical music industry? Is there even a Nigerian classical music industry?
There is a huge one. Started with the Musical Society over the last 30, almost 40 years.
What, Muzon?
Yes.
Okay.
And they have brought up so many good students. So much talent has passed through the Muzon. But there's no house. There's no musical house in Nigeria.
Isn't Muzon a musical house?
Well, not quite, in the sense that they have a music school and they have their halls. But it's not a musical house where you can go to watch regular concerts. The National Theatre would have been a wonderful place. It used to be when I was growing up.
Yes.
I watched so much there. My mom took us every month to watch something.
I used to go there with my dad all the time.
Such wonderful memories. Such wonderful. And I want my children to grow up with that sort of exposure, which is really important, I find.
And what exactly are you doing to get that? I know you've said you have the Orchestra Foundation. You're starting Lagos Opera House. what are the details of that?
Well, we hold concerts, quarterly concerts at Terra Culture. The British Council have given us their hall, and we hope to start soon at another center, the Alliance Française. And we slowly talk to our audience and inform them about our plans. And people come up who talk to us about who to talk to and who to pull in. And slowly, we will pull the people we need on board to let, policy, for instance, for the financial angle, for instance, which is the biggest part. We need policy change that says, to corporates in Nigeria who earn beyond this amount, above this amount yearly, from your profit, you give what? 0.25% to charities, development charities or impact charities.
Aren't you being a tad bit overly romantic?
No, it's what happens in other countries.
In other countries that have running water, have electricity, that have everything functioning.
As soon as it is clear how important this is, it'll happen. We've gotten approval.
Yeah, but why should it be that important now when people are looking for money to survive?
Because after surviving, what do you do? That's where we are now as a country.
But we haven't survived yet.
Yeah, but after that, because we keep talking hunger and malaria and hunger and malaria. But what does the human being do after eating? What do? This is the thing. We must begin to think of life as human beings. As we do. We travel out to enjoy what other people have put together as culture.
Fair enough.
We do that.
Fair enough. But those are for the elite few. Though.
No, it's not. This is what we now have to start thinking of ourselves as regular people. It's not just rich people who deserve to live, but the average man deserves that. And we got approval this year from the Lagos State government to start music classes in public schools.
Oh.
So they said, start with...
We've always had music classes, no?
No, they don't have music classes. Every single school we went to, of the 10 schools we were given in Osborne, Ikoyi, all of the principals were so excited. And they said...
No, but you've just said Osborne, Ikoyi, which is, for those who don't know, an affluent part of Lagos.
But the children are not from affluent families. It's a public school. They live in Obalende. They live beyond Obalende. They walk to school. It's a public school. And they don't have music? No, they don't. And then when we started and that runs well, we start to move to other local governments slowly. But we need sponsorship for that. And the principals we met all said, listen, we say this, you can't teach children without music. Yes, they know this, the educators, because music activates all of the psychomotor skills for mathematics and for engineering. Half of our orchestra are engineers. And most of them graduated in the last 2-3 years from Unilag and other universities, first class. The engineers, the guys who play all of these instruments, because that's what music does for you. It sorts out logic. And so it's not for the rich. And it's not for the affluent, it's for human beings. Yes.
I just learned something. Wow. So what would you say to, first, the younger people who are trying to make their way in the world, and trying to figure themselves out, and to the parents of these younger people?
Nigeria is tough. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of mentors. That's the truth. We don't have a lot of people to look up to. We need young people need heroes. That's the reality. They do need heroes. So it's tough to tell a young person, listen to the voice within, or listen to what is right, when all around you what is wrong is what succeeds. That's the truth of our environment. So I would say find a mentor who tells you the truth and not what you want to hear. Find someone who tells you the truth, not necessarily what you want to hear. The truth is very hard, very, very hard, and it's tough. A couple of young people I'm talking to who want to go abroad to school, there's no magic to it, I tell them. It will take you 3-4 years to get the admission you want, to have things in place. There's no magic. You're not going to get there in a month or in 10 months. It's going to be tough.
But in this world where social media tells you you can blow overnight.
Exactly.
What you're saying is contradictory.
It is. Because after you've blown overnight, what happens to the people who blew overnight? 1 out of what? 100 stay on a steady trajectory upwards.
So what if they don't have...
Yeah. It's tough, I know. But like I said, you have to find people, mentors, who will tell you the truth.
What if you... I find that with mentorship, you have to have a certain mindset to even be open to mentorship.
Yes.
And a lot of it starts from your home.
It does.
So what if they don't even have... Yes, what if they don't even have parents who are training them to be able to say, okay, yes.
There's something about hunger for success and to excel. It will attract the right people to you. You will find them on your path. If your parents are, I'm sorry, if they're not supportive, or if they're not up to date, as young people like to say, you know, you will come across those people, and it's important you listen to them. They won't always say what you want to hear.
But you have to first be hungry.
You have to be very hungry. And when I say hungry, I don't mean to blow.
What do you mean?
You have to be hungry for success. Blowing is not success.
What is success?
Success is that you have an impact on lives around you long term. That is what success is. Blowing is that you're an internet sensation today and tomorrow, and maybe next tomorrow. But what about next year? And what about 5-10 years time? Are you still going to be a success? Are you going to keep blowing? It doesn't happen.
And where do the parents come into this?
Support.
How?
When I was applying for school, my dad didn't understand a lot of the time what my decision-making pattern was. He really didn't. And he just thought, she's just running around the place. But every time I came to him with papers, he's like, okay, may the Lord grant it. And when it was time to do what needed to be done, how much do you need? Okay, this is what we can do. I'll drive you here. I'll take you there. He just supported me because he trusted in the child he had brought up.
And was there also an element of you gave him reason to believe?
I believe so, yes.
How did you do that?
And he saw the discipline, again, that had been installed. Now, there are people who don't have this support at home. You have to find it. Don't throw your hands up in exasperation. Don't become a victim of your circumstances. Fight. It doesn't matter if one person had it easy. That's what you think. That's what it looks like from where you are standing. And to you, it looks like your situation might be impossible, but it is not. Everyone has the key to their own circumstance. This is what I have learned in my experiencing.
There's something you just said. There are two things you just said. Now, one, you said fight. And two, you said everybody has the key to their circumstance. Again, in today's world, does this still apply?
If I tell you how wonderful my life was. How wonderful my life was. I lived behind the Opera House in Vienna. It doesn't get better than that, you know? And coming here where there's no security, I'm not married. And
which is okay.
No, when I say I'm not married, you are in this environment, things are tougher because of that.
Very true.
I've almost gotten sponsored a lot. And until a question comes in and I back away. I'm not going to have to spell it out for you. And for the
sponsorship doesn't come through because you're single?
No, the sponsorship doesn't come through because I'm not going to play ball.
Aha, I see.
You know, and I would say that openly because it's what women go through here, you know. And it's been tough, but I don't give up because of that. That's why I say to fight. And the musicians who work with me, I explain to them what's going on, and they say, we keep fighting together and we will break through because it's necessary to have such a monument where you have culture on full display. And the government would understand that culture is actually a gold mine. Other countries use it to earn resources, to earn financial, resource. And Nigeria should as well, because we have amazing talent here, no matter how you look at it, from Afro beats to Afro fusion to classical and high life, all of these musical genres, you know, you have talent in every one of them. Dance, poetry, drama, you know, terror culture is amazing, you know, with all of the talent they put on stage. We can have more of that. We should.
So I'm going to ask you an odd question. What can we do to help? We as in everybody, anybody listening.
Oh, we need sponsorship.
Okay.
And we need people who understand that what we're doing is long term. It's not going to stop halfway.
Why should it be important to anybody?
Because human expression is important, and human expression comes through the arts, performing arts, the visual arts, all of the arts. And when young people grow up in an environment where expression, you know what, we're coming from in Nigeria where children were seen, not heard.
True.
And that hinders a lot of growth in all sectors. If you have a population that is expressive in a controlled manner, that is to say they have where to express themselves, not in anger, not on the road, not with rage, but actual expression in books, on stage, in dance, in music, then you don't have frustrated people everywhere. You don't have people working in banks who want to sing. You don't have people working in telcos who want to draw and think it's impossible.
Because they do exist.
There are many of them.
That's why they're multifaceted. We're all multifaceted.
Yeah.
Okay. When do you see Lagos Opera House becoming a reality?
We are in
I'm
2022. Well, we work on. I wouldn't put a date to it. Because it could happen in a year, it could happen in 5, but we keep working.
We keep working. We keep working. Rosalyn.
Yes, Feran.
This, it's interesting because up until a few days ago, I wasn't sure what we were going to talk about. You know that. And I just wanted it to flow. And this has been deep, heartwarming, and so encouraging.
Oh, thank you.
And you've really shared some very interesting things because you've essentially told us that you have to work at it.
Yeah.
You have to work at it.
Keep working.
Keep working. Thank you so much, Rosalyn. We've, as usual, come to the end. We've come to the end. We always come to the end so quickly. John, Helen, and myself, we're going to very quickly round up the show. I'm super grateful to Rosalyn for being here with me today. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
So just stay with us for a few more seconds or a few more minutes whilst John, Helen, and myself round up the show. Thank you.